In the late 1940s, Soviet researchers designed an experiment they believed would change the understanding of human endurance forever. In a hidden military facility, deep beneath the ground, they prepared a sealed chamber. Inside, 5 prisoners were promised freedom if they could remain awake for 30 days. To make this possible, scientists released a carefully engineered stimulant gas into the air system. It was meant to eliminate the need for sleep while leaving the mind sharp and the body functional. Guards, researchers, and microphones would observe everything. There were books, cots to sleep on, but no bedding, running water, dried food for a month, and enough oxygen to keep them alive. Cameras of that era were unreliable, so only audio monitors and small portholes allowed observation. At first, the test subjects seemed optimistic. They spoke freely to one another, their voices echoing through the microphones. For the first 5 days, their conversations were lively. They shared stories of their crimes and whispered about the promised reward of freedom. But by the 5th night, subtle changes began to appear. Their tone grew darker. Paranoia seeped into their voices. They stopped speaking freely to each other and instead began muttering into the microphones. They confessed things they had never admitted before. Their secrets poured into the listening devices, as if the gas itself compelled them. After 9 days without sleep, the first subject began screaming. He ran the length of the chamber, shouting until his vocal cords tore. He could produce nothing more than squeaks. The strange part was not his madness, but the silence of the others. None reacted. None comforted him. Soon another man joined in. He screamed so long and so loud that his muscles tore from the effort. When both voices fell silent, the room was filled with only whispers, soft chanting, and the hiss of the stimulant gas. By the 10th day, no voices could be heard at all. Researchers panicked. They checked the microphones, fearing they had failed, but they were still working. Oxygen levels proved the men were alive. It was only silence that filled the chamber. In desperation, the scientists did something they had sworn not to do. They used the intercom and spoke directly to the prisoners. "We are opening the chamber to test the microphones," the lead scientist said. "Step away from the door and lie flat on the ground, or you will be shot. Obey, or you will not be freed." To everyone's horror, a calm voice replied. It was not desperate. It was not afraid. It was quiet, as if speaking from the edge of something inhuman. "We no longer want to be freed." Researchers hesitated. Military officers demanded the chamber be opened. On the 15th day, after long debate, the gas was flushed out and fresh air pumped in. Immediately, voices erupted. Screaming began once again. Microphones recorded pleading cries, begging for the gas to return, as if the stimulant had become their lifeline. Guards prepared with weapons. The chamber door creaked open. What they saw inside was madness. One subject lay dead, torn apart. Flesh and organs were ripped from his body and stuffed into the drain in the center of the room, blocking it. The floor was covered in blood, pooling so high that researchers feared it had killed him. Yet the remaining 4 were alive and mutilated. Their abdomens were torn open. Intestines lay outside their bodies, yet they remained conscious, as if the gas had granted impossible vitality. They had used their own hands to tear themselves apart, yet they resisted any attempt to sedate them. When doctors tried, They screamed with superhuman strength. One soldier was killed in the chaos. Another, horrified, turned his weapon on a subject. Bullets tore through the man's body. Even then, he screamed only for more gas. Even dying, he fought to remain awake. The surviving subjects were restrained and rushed to medical facilities. Surgeons worked to repair what they could, but anesthesia failed. Each man resisted being put to sleep, thrashing violently, eyes wide with terror. One tore free of his restraints and nearly destroyed himself before being subdued. Another stared into the doctor's eyes and whispered, "I must not sleep." When asked why, when pressed for answers, their words chilled the room. They claimed sleep was death. They claimed consciousness was the only barrier between mankind and something vast, something dark, something waiting just beyond the veil of dreams. In the end, only 3 remained alive. One died on the operating table, his heart refusing to stop even after liters of blood had been drained. His last words were repeated over and over. "Keep cutting. I must stay awake." Another, strapped to a gurney, begged to be sealed back in the chamber, begged for the gas. When denied, he bit through his own arteries, smiling as life drained from him. Only one subject remained, restrained, broken, yet still alive. A high-ranking officer demanded to know what he was, not who, but what. The man looked directly at him, his eyes wide, his ruined body trembling. "We are you," he whispered. "We are the madness that lurks in all of you. We are what you hide from in your beds at night. We are what you silence in your sleep. We are the hunger, the rage, the endless void that lives in your mind when you close your eyes. We are what you could never survive if you stopped resisting." The officer froze. His finger hovered over the trigger of his gun. The subject, smiling with torn lips, spoke once more. "So close your eyes, if you dare, and see what we are." The shot rang out. The chamber fell silent. The experiment was over. But the memory of what had been unleashed, the glimpse of the darkness hidden within every human mind, remained. And some whisper that it was never an experiment at all, but a revelation.